When I traced where a lot of these RMD posts were coming from, it wasn't from an official rule page that retirees were actually reading. It was coming from recycled clips and half explanations that skip the part that matters: the timeline, the penalties, and the tax stacking. And that's how retirees get blindsided. Not because they're careless, because the system is boring until it's expensive. And I think you deserve the full story. So here it is. I'm recording this video right now because this topic is quietly costing retirees real money. Comment where you're watching from so I can see how far these videos travel. And real quick, if you value calm numbers first retirement breakdowns like this, do me a favor, subscribe and comment Retirement Risk Watch so the algorithm knows you want more of this. Now, in case you haven't seen what I'm talking about, here's the claim making the rounds. RMDs are simple. Just take the distribution. Your broker will handle it. It's basically automatic. And on the surface, it sounds airtight. But when you slow it down piece by piece and you look at timing, taxes, and what happens when you have multiple accounts, you realize the reality is more nuanced. That's clean. It's also incomplete. So I'm going to break down 3 things. First, what an RMD actually is in plain English and why it exists. Second, the real ways people get burned: timing mistakes, tax stacking, and missing the mark. And third, a simple action plan to make RMD season boring, predictable, and safe. So, let's start with what we can verify in plain English. An RMD is a required minimum distribution. It's the ears saying, you got a tax break going in. You don't get to keep this money sheltered forever. At a certain age, under current rules, you generally have to start taking at least a minimum amount out of certain tax-deferred retirement accounts each year. Here's the clean way to think about it. If you have a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k, the EARS sees that as a warehouse of untaxed income. And once you hit the RMD start age for your birth year, the EARS opens the warehouse door and says, start moving some boxes out every year. You don't have to move everything, but you do have to move the minimum. And if you don't, the penalty can be nasty. We're talking a penalty rate that can be up to about 25% of the amount you should have taken, but didn't. And in some cases, it can be reduced if you fix it quickly and properly. Either way, it's not a fee you want in your life. Now, the first place these retirement stories get weak is taxes and timing. People talk about RMDs like it's free money you're finally allowed to use. No, RMDs are taxable income in most normal situations, which means it stacks. It stacks on top of other income you have in retirement: Social Security, pensions, part-time work, interest, dividends, rental income. And the stacking is what turns simple into surprise. Here's a question for you. Be honest. Did you think of your 401k money as my money? Or did you think of it as my money plus a silent tax partner? Drop my money or tax partner in the comments, because your answer changes how you plan. Okay. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most retirees don't lose the RMD game because they can't do the math. They lose because they don't treat it like a system with deadlines. They treat it like a one-time event. And it's not. It's annual. It's forever once it starts. And the amount generally changes as your account value changes, and as you age. So let's talk about the top ways retirees get burned. Burn #1. The wrong account, wrong year mistake. This is where someone has multiple old 401ks, maybe a couple IRAs, and they assume one distribution covers everything. It doesn't always work like that. Some accounts allow aggregation, some don't. And the rules depend on the account type. If you don't understand what you're allowed to combine and what you're not, you can accidentally miss an RMD even while taking withdrawals from somewhere else. Burn #2. The I'll do it in December mistake. December is when retirees get emotional damage. Markets move. Holidays happen. Travel happens. Family happens. And then you're rushing. If you wait until the end of the year and something goes wrong, paperwork delay, a distribution takes longer than you think, you miscalculate. Now you're in penalty territory. And the worst part is, you didn't need to be. This is preventable stress. Burn hack 3, the no withholding, then panic mistake. Some people take the RMD and forget taxes. Then April hits, and it's a gut punch, or they underpay during the year and get hit with extra headaches. Again, not always catastrophic, but why sign up for chaos? You want this boring. Burn hashtag 4, the RMD stacking surprise mistake. This is the big one. People don't realize how RMDs can push them into a higher tax situation than they expected. Not because they're rich, because RMDs are forced taxable income. Then it stacks on top of Social Security and other income, and suddenly your simple distribution changes your entire tax picture. Burn hashtag 5, the I don't need the money, so it doesn't matter mistake. Even if you don't need the cash to spend, it still matters because it's taxable income that can affect your broader situation. Some retirees take the RMD, leave it in cash, and don't think about where it goes next. That's how you end up with a slow leak, unnecessary taxes, unnecessary cash drag, and no plan. Now here's the skeptical alternative. Someone will say, my brokerage automatically calculates my RMD. Great. That helps. But could this still fail? Sure, here's how. The brokerage can calculate based on what they can see. They can't see accounts you have elsewhere. They can't see whether you accidentally rolled something, changed beneficiaries, inherited accounts, moved money mid-year, or have multiple account types with different aggregation rules. Automation helps. It doesn't make you immune. So what does this actually mean for you? It means you need an RMD system. Not a reminder, a system. Here's the clean way to think about RMDs. Treat them like a forced paycheck schedule. If you had a job that paid you once a year in December, you'd be stressed. You'd budget poorly. You'd miss things. A smarter move is to turn the RMD into a monthly or quarterly rhythm if it fits your plan, so taxes and cash flow don't ambush you. Now, here's a simple action plan. No drama. Step 1. Write down your RMD start age and your first RMD year based on your birth year and your specific account situation. Don't guess. Verify it. Put it on paper. Step 2. List every account that could have an RMD, each traditional IRA, each old 401k, any other tax-deferred retirement account that triggers this requirement. Write them all down in one place. If it's not listed, it doesn't exist for planning purposes. Step 3. Decide your distribution rhythm. Once per year, quarterly, monthly. There's no moral answer. The goal is reliability. For many people, monthly or quarterly reduces the December panic risk and makes tax planning easier. Write it down. Decide X first, then Y. Okay, now, let's talk about what to do with the money once it comes out. Because that's where people act like the story ends. It doesn't end. The money lands somewhere. And what you do next determines whether this becomes a tax and cash drag problem or a clean reinvestment plan. Option 1. If you need it to live, it becomes part of your retirement paycheck. Great. Then you design spending around it. Option 2. If you don't need it to spend, you can reinvest it in a taxable account and keep it working. Understanding that the tax treatment will differ from inside your IRA. That's not a loss. That's just the next phase of the money. Option 3. If charitable giving is part of your plan, there are ways some retirees align distributions with giving in a tax-aware way depending on their situation and account type. That's not for everyone. But it's part of the toolkit. Now, here's what nobody wants to say. RMDs can be made smaller later if you manage the size of the tax-deferred bucket earlier. That's the big lever. If most of your wealth is in tax-deferred accounts and you do zero planning before RMD age, you are basically volunteering for bigger forced taxable income later. And I'm not saying you need fancy tricks. I'm saying you need awareness. Some retirees intentionally take withdrawals in the years before RMDs begin, or they coordinate other planning moves in that window, so the future forced distribution is less brutal. The point isn't to dodge taxes. The point is to control timing so you don't get trapped. Here's a watch list prompt. If you want to know whether RMDs are going to hurt you, don't just watch your account balance. Watch your projected future forced withdrawals relative to your baseline spending and relative to your other income. If the forced number looks like it's going to push you into a tax situation you hate, you plan earlier. You don't wait until the faucet turns on. Now, let's map 3 plausible paths without pretending we can predict the exact market. Path 1. Markets are fine, and your RMD is manageable. In this world, your main job is execution. Take it on time, withhold appropriately if needed, and invest the remainder according to your plan. Boring is success. Path 2. Markets drop, and you're emotionally tempted to delay. In this world, you still have to meet the requirement. So you plan the cadence and the cash management so you're not forced into last-minute sales. This is where having a runway and a system matters. Optional Path 3. Your income stack changes. Maybe you start Social Security. Maybe a spouse passes and your tax situation changes. Maybe you sell a house. In this world, the RMD can interact with other life events, and your tax picture shifts. That's why you revisit annually. Not daily, annually. I'm not predicting it. I'm saying it's within the set of things life can do. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. RMD mistakes rarely happen because someone is dumb. They happen because someone is busy, or grieving, or traveling, or managing health issues, or just living life. And the system doesn't care. It's a deadline system. So your defense is automation where possible, early planning, and a rhythm that reduces the chance of human error. Here are the rules I use, and you can steal them. 1. Decide your maximum withdrawal guardrail first. Write it down. If you're losing sleep, you're pulling too hard, or you're invested too aggressive. 2. When markets run hard and you're up a lot, refill your cash runway. Not forever, just enough to buy you time. 3. Don't confuse income with safety. A high yield is not a safety guarantee. 4. The best time to make a retirement decision isn't when you're scared or hyped. It's when you can still breathe and do the math. So here's what we covered. We covered what RMDs are, forced minimum withdrawals from certain tax-deferred retirement accounts once you hit your rule-based start age. We covered why people get burned, multiple accounts, December chaos, tax stacking, and treating it like a one-time event instead of a system. And we covered the action plan. Write your start age and timeline, list all accounts, choose a cadence, and decide what happens to the money after it comes out. The real risk isn't just the market, it's timing, taxes, and behavior. So if you're near RMD age or already there, keep it boring, keep it systematic, and don't let simple advice make you sloppy. Now, here are my questions for you. First, are you already taking RMDs, close to taking them, or far away? Comment already, close or far. Second, would you rather take RMDs monthly, quarterly, or once a year? Drop monthly, quarterly, or annual. If you got value out of this, subscribe and comment Retirement Risk Watch so I know you want a follow-up when the next update hits. And if this helped you, share it with someone who's trying to retire without making expensive mistakes. All right, take care of yourself, stay sharp, and I'll talk to you soon. And just so we're crystal clear, this is educational content and commentary. It's my take based on publicly discussed information and my own reasoning. And it's not personal financial advice. I'm not your advisor. I don't know your goals or your risk tolerance. And I could be wrong. Do your own homework. Consider your situation. And if you need personal advice, get it from a qualified professional who knows your situation.